I'm Mark Bishop, Director of Product Marketing at LinkedIn. And this is my friend here, Mike Grislover, Senior Product Manager at LinkedIn Marketing Solutions. So the recent economic downturn has created more cautious buyers. They're performing more due diligence and research when they're making their purchase decisions. The great thing for them, though, is that the web has made this really easy. They have all the information they need at their fingertips. So what you have is a more cautious and a more empowered buyer. They're actually so empowered, in fact, that they're 57% of the way through the purchase path before they reach out to the brand that they're researching for the first time to get information from them. 57%. That should terrify us as marketers. Basically, companies and brands are being removed from the consideration set before they've even been asked for their input. So by the time we hear, as marketers, that we're being considered, there's little time for us to influence the purchase decision. So we need to adapt to this web-enabled buyer. First thing we need to do is tailor our conversations to an audience that's mid-funnel. Right? We need to give the content that they want when they're in the consideration phase of the funnel. The research tells us that's very different. The content they want in the mid-funnel is very different from what they want in the upper funnel and the mid-funnel. In fact, the research says when they're in the consideration phase of the funnel, they want industry examples. In the upper funnel, they want tools that help them determine if they're going to get return on investment. And then in the purchase stage of the funnel, they want integration information. Second thing we need to do is really drive conversations earlier, right? Reach them before they even enter the sales and marketing funnel. We all know this is important intuitively, but the research just showcases just how important it is. Brands that make that initial consideration set are 3x more likely to come out at the end. They're more likely to be purchased. EMC gets this. EMC understands that without awareness, there can be no consideration. So they're reaching out via social to anybody interested in their industry topics. And through the relationships and the conversations that they're creating this brand identity for themselves. They're establishing brand trust. They're driving need awareness, right? From their perspective, if they can help you realize that you have a problem that EMC can solve, that's a huge win for them. And they're interjecting in the conversations to overcome objections. And all of this is fostering this authenticity for EMC's brand. So when somebody does enter the sales and marketing funnel, they're top of mind. EMC tells us that not only is this approach driving leads for them, but it's influencing 50% of its business. So we've seen EMC do this. How can you do it? Well, your website can't do it alone. The data and the trends show that visits to your company brand sites are down each and every year. But the good news is social can help, right? B2B buyers are using social more and more, up 41% from 2009. Now, many of you are using social today, right? You are creating brand experiences on the social platforms, whether or not it be your brand pages or your company pages, or maybe the groups that you sponsor or create. And then you're attracting fans or followers to those experiences and engaging them with content. And then you're allowing the underlying social platform to amplify the marketing messages that you're communicating. Understanding that this amplification not only drives increased ad effectiveness for you, but increased reach. And you're repeating this virtuous cycle time and again. So rinse and repeat. So many of you have millions of fans, perhaps, on the personal social networking platforms. The problem is, if you're a B2B marketer or a high-consideration B2C marketer, your target audience just may not be receptive to a deep relationship with you on those personal social networking sites. And when your target audience says, look, it's not you, it's me, this time that's true. It's not your fault. It's just not meant to have a meaningful relationship on those sites. And the reason's simple. Deep, meaningful conversations are built on substantive conversations. And it's hard to have those substantive conversations if the context isn't right. So as marketers, this goes beyond targeting just the right person to connecting with the right person in the right context for higher ROI. Context is king. All right, so let's look at a recent case of context driving ad effectiveness. Now, context has huge implications in marketing, and the marketers behind the youth anti-smoking ads in the UK know this. They've found that TV advertising, so TV anti-smoking advertising, displayed to pub goers while they're out socializing with their friends, was totally ineffective. However, the same people viewing the same TV advertising in their home with their families, it was very effective. Same message, same people, just the difference was context. So what? Why is the guy from LinkedIn talking about anti-smoking campaigns in the UK and making references to Seinfeld? Well, it's because we at LinkedIn believe it's our professional context that really sets us apart, that makes us different and better for B2B marketers and high consideration B2C marketers. There's recent TNS research that was actually showcased this morning that went into this and went into how the same people have different mindsets when they're on personal networking sites versus professional networking sites. On the personal networking sites, they're spending time. They want to catch up on what's going on with their friends. They want to get information on their personal interests and be entertained. However, on the professional sites, they're really investing time. They're investing time in their careers. They're investing time to make better business decisions. And it's this mindset of investing in themselves that allows you, the B2B marketer or the high consideration B2C marketer, to really help them make really complex business and financial decisions. So once again, it's this professional context that makes LinkedIn different and essentially makes the building of deep, meaningful relationships with customers and prospects a lot easier. Because on the personal social site, they'll accept your coupon, but they really just don't have the mindset to think through those complex business decisions. They want to do that on the professional networking site. And LinkedIn's the largest professional networking site on the planet. Our mission is to connect the world's professionals and make them more productive and successful. And successful marketers take the exact same approach. So I think it'd be helpful to see some of your peers driving success on LinkedIn. So at this point, I'll hand it off to Mike, who will go through some case examples.
Thanks, Mark. So let's look at some examples of success on our platform in the business context. Our first example is a company that's a company in the mobile device space. And their goal was to establish relationships with followers on LinkedIn who are either in market for a mobile device or going to be in market. And they achieved this goal through a number of steps. First, they established their presence on their page. They added the basic information about their company, and then they provided robust information about their products. They built a base of followers. They acquired almost 200,000 followers with the help of LinkedIn with a paid campaign. And then they messaged those followers with timely, relevant content. And the results were pretty excellent. 47% increase in awareness of this company's products. 37% increase in likelihood to recommend, and a 33% increase in purchase consideration. I just want to let that sink in. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's pretty amazing, but maybe people on LinkedIn are already aware of this company's products and everyone is interested in it. So what we did is we looked at this company's followers and we compared them to very similar people on LinkedIn who weren't following the company. And here are the results. More than 3 times likely to consider a purchase in the future in this company's followers than non-followers. And more than double increase in Net Promoter Score. So why did that happen? Their followers became more informed about the products and they felt more connected to the brand. So, and I think this is important because it's not just learning about a product, but it's the feeling of personal connectedness to the brand that happened in a majority of their followers. Those followers, we help them acquire the followers, but all of that action is opt-in. You follow a company on LinkedIn, and then the messages come directly to you in the context of these personal, professional connections. They come to you when you log in on the web. They come to you when you log into your mobile device. And it feels like a personal connection, and that matters. So how'd they do it? First of all, they built this following. And as I've said, we helped them acquire almost 200,000 followers very quickly. And the people who chose to follow this brand were affluent, educated, senior, and in market for these products. So they acquired the right kind of people. But they also understood why these people were following. And then you see 46% were current customers. And you know that's important, as Mark always told me, because you're marketing a product. It's a lot easier to sell a product to an existing customer than it is to go out and acquire a new one. And further, when you're talking to that many existing customers, you can turn some of them into brand evangelists. They have that connection to your brand, you're providing them with the information, and then they share it, and they're helping you acquire new customers. So you acquire the followers, you understand who they are, and then they also provided what those followers wanted. And on LinkedIn, in the professional context, these followers wanted information about new products. And they also wanted just general information about what this company provides. So by establishing their presence, rich content on their page, and then understanding who their followers were and what they wanted, they were able to achieve those pretty spectacular results. So a number of our clients are actually taking it a step further in terms of relevance and content delivery. And they're leveraging a fairly new feature we have called targeted status updates. And targeted status updates allow you to deliver a personally relevant message to groups and subsets of your followers. So our marketers can now target their messages by industry, job function, seniority level of the followers, company size, and location, either using any of those facets or a combination of those facets. That means you can deliver the right messages to the right groups of followers without alienating other followers with irrelevant content. Here's a great example of this is Philips. So Philips was basically leveraging this targeting by kind of industry and profession. So they're a global brand. They have a diverse product line. They deliver messages about their medical technology and devices to healthcare professionals and executives. They deliver totally different messages about their technology in general to engineers. And then they deliver messages about their design philosophy in articles to designers and product people. The result is they more than doubled the social interactions on their page. Salesforce is another excellent example. And they focus on delivering content by regional targeting. So when we were launching targeted status updates, they were about to launch their Dreamforce event in London. And Jennifer Burnham, who is their social director, worked with her team over in the UK, and they developed a whole content program to promote this event. Over a course of 5 weeks, they sent updates, news, information about the speakers, information about the training sessions available to this audience, targeted just to the the UK audience. And the result was 30% increase in amplification and engagement. So in summary, with these case studies, you see that they're different companies, they all acquire different sorts of followers, and they're all selling different products. But there's a common theme, which is, one, establishing your presence on your company page with your basic information, building that out with rich information about your products, building a follow base of the right kind of professionals, and then messaging them with timely and relevant content to drive results. And on that,
So before we wrap up and go to Q&A, just want to return you once again to the consumer electronics brand that Mike introduced you to. And I think this data point really just demonstrates just how key the professional context is for this brand. Over half of the followers that they have are only available to them on LinkedIn. It's only within this professional context that they're receptive to a relationship with that brand. So for this brand, even though the tools and the ability to create the experiences and track followers and engage them are very similar on LinkedIn as they are to the personal networking sites, it's really the professional context on LinkedIn that changes everything. For B2B marketers and high consideration marketers, because context is so important, they need to be on LinkedIn. Context is king. All right. So we're ready to move to QA. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that nobody else gets on Skype. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. You did. You.
I'm excited about the potential for targeting various audiences.
Yeah.
In my personal life on Facebook, I can create a group of people with kids, I can create a group of professional people, et cetera, and it's really easy for me to actively post. Working for a large corporation, governance and alignment around who's going to say what and who they're talking to is something that I struggle with every day.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you have any point of view if we were to speak as a company around governance and alignment and how you sort of get the machine going to create an editorial calendar of relevant and timely posts from across the organization. I know that's a big thing. I guess we could start small and expand it out, but do you have any case studies that sort of broad-based company, centrally managed, using lots of different targeted audiences to get to the right?
Right, and perhaps using editorial calendar, as you say, to plan out content. Do you want to talk to that?
sure. Well, I think actually Salesforce is an excellent example of that. And they take the time to create that editorial calendar. We actually had a meeting with the Salesforce team in San Francisco around the time of launch of status updates. And that was one of the things they were really focused on. So being a bigger company, that was one of the things they told us. They said, look, we love these features. We don't want to just kind of unleash our team on them because we're a big company. So they spent the time doing the planning. They have actually a few different teams and roles, both at their headquarters and internationally. And then they have the Jennifer Burnham, who's their director of content, across the team, and she coordinates at that. Then,
Does she, sorry to interrupt, but is it a distributed posting model or is it a centralized posting model?
it's centralized, but they also leverage some of our tools. So not only do they leverage LinkedIn, but if you see and some of the folks out in the lobby, the social media management partners actually often provide an additional tool set for managing your different groups of constituencies internally, scheduling the content, and then monitoring it kind of in addition to the tools we provide in product.
I definitely understand the part about the context and marketing to the professionals, but, and in the case of the electronics example, you're marketing to the professionals as consumers, though. When you're marketing to those same people as people that you want to buy from your company in a B2B context, how is that different?
How is it different? So I think it's the context is a lot different, number one. But I think
Because they could be the same person.
It's interesting though. Now, if you go to some of our pages, whether it's in our example, since we didn't name this partner, but find some consumer electronics companies, but for example, really familiar with Dell's content updates and Microsoft's and some of the other folks who actually have consumer products. But when you look at the messages they deliver, they're actually delivering more of a business context message. So they're talking about their devices, but they're talking about their devices for professionals to use at work. And they're providing case studies and documentation about how people are using their products at work. We actually did some comparisons with Dell about the content they promote on their company page on LinkedIn versus on Facebook. And if you go to both pages and put them up on a split screen, you'll see very different content coming across on both networks.
Yeah, and then also, B2B buyer is different from the B2C buyer. In general, the B2C buyer is going to be that single person or maybe two doing it for the household. In B2B, it's often a distributed team, right? People representing different functions for their company and different levels, right? Different levels of seniority. And that really falls right within LinkedIn's wheelhouse because we have all that profile data. We know the titles and the seniorities of folks, the function that they represent. And based on that information, you can then tailor the content and the marketing messages that you send to them to help them make that buying decision. Because they come from different functions, they're going to have different concerns.
Is there going to be integration with followers in your ad platform, being able to acquire followers just through ads?
We actually offer that now through ads through our field sales force. And what you can do is, talk to one of our representatives, and you can get a targeted campaign to acquire just the type of followers you want, whether it's, hey, I want to acquire any follower, or with all of the super sophisticated targeting.
Is there going to be the ability to do it on your own, though, without going through a sales rep?
That's something that we don't typically talk about our future plans,
Okay.
but I think that it's obviously something that a lot of people are interested in.
I definitely agree with creating context for your content. What do you find is the most engaging content? Again, back to the B2B question, like what are they really responding to? Is it just sort of, this is how people use the product, or is there any way to create emotionality in those posts?
That's a good question. I think there is. I think you have to understand your audience. You have to take that time, kind of related to that first question, to craft your strategy, and then you'll see what resonates, depending on the brand. So we have some brands. HubSpot is a great example. They provide a ton of content about inbound marketing, but they have this really fun, kind of casual tone, and that really works for them. Some of the other companies that have more high-end, expensive B2B products have a bit more of a professorial tone, and they're sharing like white papers and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that resonates really well.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to really express your brand personality on company pages. We're providing new ways to do that. It's really important. And then just to add to that, I think the other thing you need to do is really tailor your communication to the audience, right? The function, title. Based on that, you can glean a lot as to what their specific concerns are going to be. And then also, where are they in the purchase funnel, right? Are they at the upper funnel or lower because they want different content?
Yeah, and to follow on, the other thing is, with the status updates and your company page, you can ask. So you can ask your followers, what are they looking for? And then you can respond there, and you can have conversations in the comments, et cetera.
Yeah.
And again, don't be afraid to experiment. So, we started working with Salesforce early, and when they first started using the targeted status updates, it took them a little time to figure out how to really leverage the targeting to get that boost in amplification. So it does take some time and experimentation.
Yeah, and about asking, it's funny. I saw this recent data point. Brian Solis said, 74% of companies feel like they know what their customers want, but only 34% have even bothered to ask. So use the platform to ask. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, guys. Well, thank you very much.